Good evening and welcome to Confessions. I'm your hostess of light, Jennifer Watson. I'm an empowerment coach, new moon astrologer, past life reader, and author. And my mission is to provide a safe space for people to step into their darkness so they can shine their brightest of lights. And that's what this show is all about. Tonight we'll be talking about connecting and how in today's age we can literally befriend people from all around the world. Technology certainly has its benefits, as we're able to stay in touch with loved ones, meet new friends, and even be inspired to travel around the world to meet those friends. Isn't it amazing how we can just be so connected to everyone like that? So joining me to talk about this tonight is someone who is no stranger to connecting with others and spreading her love and light around the world wherever she goes. Shannon Hugman is an astrologer, a HeartSpeak emotional healer, and an inspiring author, and has been on countless adventures in pursuit of connection. So it's a pleasure to have you on the show with me tonight, Shannon. Welcome to Confessions.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
It is so awesome. So, girl, are you ready to bare your soul?
I am ready.
You are ready. So, Shannon is very young, but she has been through a lot of profound experiences and is a very inspirational young lady. And, let's start off with, you said that you've gone through a physical transformation that led to a spiritual transformation. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So, most of my life as a child, I was just very hard on myself, judging myself. I was never enough. I was always bigger than people, tall, and I just resented myself for basically the first 19 years of my life. And obviously, life didn't love me back. So I remember when I was about 19, turning 20, I decided I'm just going to try loving myself. I'm sick of waking up, hating myself, thinking about everything I'm doing wrong, thinking about my hips are too big, these pants are too small, blah, 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 blah. I said, I'm just going to try this. So I just started loving myself just as a choice. This was before I had read any self-help books. I didn't know what Hay House was. I didn't know anything like that. And life just started to really love me back. Life started to show up, and people started to show up, and things started to show up, and then books started to come, and experiences, and I reconnected with astrology. And really, I think that moment of choosing to love myself was a catalyst for getting in shape and exercising, because it felt good, and putting good food in my body, and letting the pounds or whatever the inches didn't even matter. And because it didn't matter, they started shedding and they started moving. And then I just became happy, and happy in myself, and happy with who I was. And so I started attracting things that were coming from a place of happiness. And then I started waking up to, I guess you could call them, spiritual truths, and seeing, wow, okay, I'm a powerful creator. And life is very different from the hole that I was living in.
Amazing. And so part of the spiritual journey is you found a love and passion for astrology.
Yeah, it's actually a very funny story. I was living about 6 hours away from where my boyfriend was living, and he's a very introverted kind, and he wasn't necessarily expressing his emotions to me. So one day I just thought, I'm gonna read his horoscope. I'm just gonna go online and see, what is this Gemini feeling. And so I stumbled upon this YouTube channel that was different than any horoscope I've ever read before, and basically it was forecasts for the energies of the day. So it wasn't saying you're a Gemini, you're going to feel this. It was more saying the moon's in Cancer and Saturn's in Libra, and these are these transits that are happening, and how can you work with this energy. And these people who were talking about these planets were speaking a language I just understood. And when I was a young girl, I remember being on the playground, and I was able to guess people's birthdays. I could look at someone and I just knew, oh, you're born in March and you're born in September. I didn't know that meant you're a Pisces, you're a Virgo. I didn't know anything like that, but I had this feeling. And so when when I connected with this astrology website, with people talking about these planetary cycles in a way that was so much more profound than the horoscopes in the newspaper or whatever, I didn't even care my boyfriend's horoscope was, it didn't even matter. I knew that I had found something very important to me. And I believe that astrology is a language, and the best way you can learn a language is to speak it. And I was so fortunate to find myself surrounded by people who were fluent in astrology and wanting to talk. And that's really where I developed the language and my understanding of it now.
And now astrology is part of what you do for others and you give readings and everything, but there's so much diversity to astrology. You can come at it at so many different angles. So what kind of angles do you come at? What are you most fascinated by reading about in somebody's chart?
Well, I believe that everything's happening for us. And I don't believe, and I say this at the beginning of any reading or any sort of share I give with astrology, I advocate for the planets are not doing anything to us. Instead, they are these currents, these patterns, these energetic cycles that we're going through. That's this story that's just unfolding over and over and over again. And when you know the story, or you know which way the current's flowing, you can choose to flow with it. You can choose to play. You can choose to let go of the struggle and let that current take you, trusting that, okay, I know that this is going to come around and this is going to work out, or it's not going to work out, or it is, or whatever. So basically, I like to say that they're not doing anything to you, but as an astrologer, I see my role as providing you with an awareness of these cycles, an awareness of these patterns. So that awareness can enhance your free will choices. So if you choose to go with the stream instead of swimming up it, that's up to you to choose. You can still swim upstream. That's totally fine with me, but I approach it as I'm here to enhance your awareness and enhance your free will. And I like to sort of see myself as, you look at a weather forecast like a meteorologist, but for these planetary cycles, because it's raining. I'm just going to tell you it's raining. I'm just going to tell you Saturn is in Sagittarius. I'm not going to tell you that not to go out today. I'm not going to tell you to cancel your plans because it's raining. I'm not going to tell you not to plan your wedding or yada, 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 but you can make those connections. You can decide to bring the umbrella, that kind of thing. So I like to empower others and just give I have my system that I use, and again, it's like a language, and I like to let the people that I'm sharing it with make those connections for themselves.
I love that. So what is the most fascinating thing that you've uncovered about yourself as you've been studying astrology?
Oh, good question. I, I believe that I more discovered an understanding of a period of time in my life. And it was when Saturn was in Saturn was in Scorpio from October 2012 roughly to December 2015, 14. I don't know, but really when I was really feeling it was my moon is in Scorpio, and I'll throw some astro facts at you. It's conjunct Pluto and it's in my 8th house, so it's this really, really, really deep, profound, dark but powerful, a lot of light as well, part of my chart. And when Saturn went over that area multiple times, it was retrograde, it really hashed up a lot of truth. I had to face a lot of fears. There was a lot of days I did not want to get out of bed, but I also had, again, that understanding of what was going on. And so I never felt, I feel like if I didn't have an understanding of that transit, I don't know if I would have survived, to be completely honest, but I knew, okay, it's temporary, it's for me. And as it continued to unfold, I look back now and I see I received so much from that. It was a huge gift. It was a period of transformation, totally. That's ongoing. I believe life is an ongoing transformation, but yeah, definitely Saturn and Scorpio. I was very happy to understand what that whole time period was about.
And during that time period as well, you've kind of took off on this traveling adventure type of lifestyle where you were connecting with other people. So what was that like for you? What inspired you to take off and do that kind of traveling?
Well, basically, I had been a student my whole life. I went to high school, then I went to university for 4 years. And it was in my last year, my last 2 years of university, that I really started connecting with online communities and being on Google Hangouts or Skype or whatever, and just fostering these amazing relationships that felt just as real as the people I was talking to face. Not to mention that a lot of my dear friends lived in amazing places like California or Europe or Hawaii or these places. So they would, and you're one of them, Jenny, I would say, come visit me with open arms and open heart. And God bless my dad, who was just like, yeah, go meet all these people from the
Aw.
internet. Go for it, Shannon. But really, it's just been so amazing. And I really feel that it's part of myself, but also where we're at as a planet is redefining our beliefs around, like you said, connecting with people, because this is just as real, this connection of you and I right now and the viewer, as it would be if we were face to face, because we're in this new paradigm, this, you know, this new dimension almost, where we can have these connections simultaneously. And so it's so amazing every time to connect with people who I know normally just over a screen, because you just pick up right there, and it's as if you've known them forever. And I follow my intuition too, so I would only obviously visit people who are open-hearted and loving, and even, I mean, it was very rare that I ever felt unsafe or anything. I never felt unsafe, but it was just rare occasions I felt a little unstable with someone I had met. But again, I'm such a strong believer in angels that, like, the connections just lined up like that, and I was out of there and I was right back to a beautiful heart-centered space. So it was amazing, a little bit vulnerable, but it just I guess what I'll say is, I feel as if a lot of the time that I've spent online or working with people and building community, I haven't necessarily been paid for, or wasn't necessarily paid a paycheck for. But now, and my boyfriend Levi and I talk about this all the time, we look at these friends we have all over the world and these amazing relationships and these amazing people that's priceless. So I just feel so
Absolutely.
incredibly blessed.
I know, because like not only do you forge friendships that, yes, we can just relate on screen and it'd be fine, but there's something special that happens when you connect in person, and then you take that with you, and you can be separate from that person, but that bond is forged. And you've made several of those kinds of relationships and have built communities on it, such as Gaia Blooming. So tell us a little bit of what's developed from your travels and your connections.
Truly, I feel the most profound thing that has developed from those connections is just the fact that anything's possible. Because growing up in Brantford, Ontario, all I wanted to do, especially in my beginning years of university, was I wanted to go to California. I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to go to all these places. But of course, when you're a student, you're not working, you think, or your mind tells you, there's not enough money. You don't have enough money for that. And so I'd let that be, but I'd make the vision boards and I'd say the affirmations and set the intentions. And the fact that it all fell into place, it's continuing to fall into place. I really just feel, and it gives me hope for just our planet and our collective consciousness, that, yeah, I might be over here in Canada and you're in California and she's in Austria or wherever they are, but we're all on the same page. We're all human. I mean, you just pick up with people. People just get it. And when you're with someone who gets it, we don't even have to define what it is. It's more of a feeling. It's so refreshing, and it just gives me so much hope and an excitement for what this new earth that each of us are building.
I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've been through a similar journey with you, where I made it a mission to go travel to places that I wanted to go, where I know there were people wanted to see. And I just recently did that on my journey from New York to California. I made stops along the way. And it's amazing that technology, first of all, has brought us together, that we're even able to, like, even you and I to meet each other, you in Canada, me in New York at that time. And just here we are now. Like, this would never have happened without technology. So it's quite powerful, and it leads to so many open doors and so many opportunities. And I know one of them that's led to you is one of your most recent certifications as a HeartSpeak emotional healer. So, for people who don't know what that is, why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because that sounds pretty exciting for you.
Yeah, I would love to. So, HeartSpeak was created by Dr. Ann Jensen, who, again, I met online through the same communities that are circles that I met you, Jenny. And Dr. Ann is amazing, and she worked for years and years on a PhD at Oxford University, working with emotional healing and studying it and creating evidence and publishing this PhD. You can go to heartspeak.me and you can read a lot more on the technical aspects of it. I feel like I may not be doing it justice, but basically the fundamental foundation of HeartSpeak is that every physical symptom, every stress we're feeling is because there's an underlying emotion. So if we think about our bodies or ourselves as icebergs, we can comprehend that tip of the iceberg, but there's so much going on below the surface. So yes, maybe you have a headache and you're the tip of the iceberg thinks, oh, it's this, it's I didn't drink enough water, or yada, yada, yada. But really, there's some emotion deep down there in our subconscious that we're not able to necessarily access or we're not aware of. And so it's manifesting as a headache. Or HeartSpeak has worked miracles on my boyfriend's allergies and his asthma and things like that. And so basically, through muscle testing, a HeartSpeak practitioner identifies that emotion that's there. And then with the patient or client, they feel that emotion because these emotions, they just want to move. They just want to be in motion. And so we dive into that emotion in a safe space. We just let that emotion be. We let that emotion be heard, be felt. And then we can shift it, or once it's moved, replace it with a beneficial emotion, an emotion that benefits you and adds to your body. And I mean, you can go through rounds and rounds and rounds. It never stops. The emotional healing goes on and on and on, but it's just
Very cool. And on top of all of this, you're also an aspiring author. So what do you've got going in the works?
well, I've always felt that I've been a writer, and my mom and my dad would say, "Oh, Shannon, you need to be a journalist, or you're so good at writing." And to be completely honest, a lot of the connections, I've realized this over time, all the connections that I've made online have come through blogging or initially or writing or expressing myself. And so I feel a lot of Archangel Gabriel in that way around me, of just the angel of expression and sharing words. And so Karen Thompson, who has been a guest on Confessions as well, one day I was in a sort of foggy place about a year ago, and I just did not know what choices to make or where life was taking me. And I was expressing this to her, and she said, "Oh, I just got certified in an angel card reading. Can we do that and maybe see if it'll help you?" I said, "Of course." And the first thing she said to me is, "Okay, angels say it's time for you to write your book. It's time for you to happen." And literally, I had stopped and started 5 times, but it was never anything. And I said, okay, angels, if you want me to write this book, you need to make it easy for me. If this is hard, I don't know how to just start a book. Please, I need steps. I need guidance. And I'm not even kidding you. Within an hour of saying that, I was on my email and I saw this email pop in that was from Hay House, and they were talking about how they were offering an online writers class. So I had gone to a Hay House I Can Do It in 2013. This was one of the more profound experiences of my life where I really knew that part of my purpose was to be an author, or if not an author, a speaker, or to just sort of share with the masses. And so I forget who was talking, maybe it was somebody, and I just felt this, like I wasn't supposed to be in the audience. I was supposed to be on stage. It was so uncomfortable. I contemplated just like trying to get back there and meeting somebody. And I just felt, oh my God, I'm supposed to be on that stage. And so then this woman said, I believe it was Julie Daniet, or I wish I remembered, but then the woman said, I was once in your spot. I was in the audience thinking, I just want to be on that stage. I just want to be an author. And so what I did was I went home and I took my program and I wrote my name as one of the speakers. So in that moment, I took my program, and the keynote speaker at the I Can Do It I went to was Dr. Wayne Dyer. And so I took my program, and where it said Dr. Wayne Dyer, I wrote above it, keynote Shannon Hugman. Just I laughed that I thought I would even be bigger and better than Dr. Wayne Dyer, but I was so into it in that moment. So that was in 2013. Fast forward to 2015, where I'm sitting there, I say, angels, help me to make this happen. This email pops in, sort of the promo thing said, for the first time ever, we're putting all of our content on an online course, and it's amazing. And I thought, okay, that is a coincidence. But again, it was a couple $100, and I'm like, oh, no, I can't afford it. And then I continued to read, and it says, have you ever had a vision of having your name beside Dr. Wayne Dyer's on a I Can Do It program? And so I
No.
said to Levi, read this and look at what's hanging on my wall right there, which was my name beside Dr. Wayne Dyer's. So I
That's crazy.
signed up, I did it, and I have submitted a book proposal. So it's all coming into place, but I'm working as hard as I can for it to be a light and fun process, and to just really be centered and enjoy the whole process of writing a manuscript and finding a publisher and yada, yada, yada. And it's more of just a tribute to angels, really, and to eternal love.
That's amazing. And I love it. And I'm sure we are all excited to read it when it comes out. So I know I'll be looking for it.
Thanks.
So it comes to the point in the show where it's confession time. And I know this is a tough one for you, but it's also a very inspiring story. And you talk about how your life completely changed with your mom's transition. So talk us through that story and what happened as a result of that, what profound breakthrough you had.
Absolutely. Yeah, so my confession is that one of the biggest blessings in my life was actually my mom's transformation, as I like to say it, or transition. And I know that sounds a little weird, and it's like people sometimes are shocked when I say that. They don't understand. But what I truly believe is that as humans, we're kind of like caterpillars, and we're in these caterpillar bodies. And when we transform or we transition. I like to use empowering words rather than sort of pass away or die or things like that. But that's what I'm talking about. When we transition, yes, our body dies, just like a caterpillar's body dies, but we're transforming into like something beautiful or miraculous, like a butterfly. So my mom passed away, transformed suddenly in the summer of 2012. There was major astrological transits occurring, which I was aware of. So again, helped me to understand this bigger picture of overcoming these fears. My whole life, I was so afraid of separation, specifically around my mom too. I remember I think I was like 13 or something, and I was at summer camp for 2 weeks, and I cried for my mom every day. And none of the other 13-year-old girls even cared about their moms, or they cared, but that they weren't with their moms. And I always felt we were just so in our human bodies connected, and separation was so painful. And so it was a grand cross, which is when 4 planets sort of oppose each other, they make a cross. And I knew this day that she passed away. I knew she'd passed away suddenly, though, so we didn't know this was going to happen. But I knew it was a time to overcome fear. And so I was ready to overcome this fear of separation, although I was sort of thinking it had to do in my romantic relationships or whatever. But I just didn't want to be afraid of losing people anymore, because I realized we're all connected. We're always connected. I literally cannot ever be separate from anything I love, because I am that love. And I sort of had read that and intellectualized it. But this day in July 2012, I felt it like in this amazingly profound way through like every cell of my body. And it was in a way where it was funny that I had stressed out about losing people. It was funny that I had been so afraid, because it was like I had this profound experience where it was angels or spirit or whatever saying, Shannon, here's the truth. You're never separate from anything that ever will be or is. It's impossible. And I got that in that moment. And so, I mean, when my mom passed away in her sleep, unexpected. I had spent the whole day with her. And so obviously it was a shock. It was very much like a tsunami. There was a lot of grief, a lot of intense emotions, but I knew, okay, that profound experience I had had earlier this day happened for a reason. And my family and I and the amazing support I had with these I guess we call them spiritual communities online, who were amazing, whether they were psychics or intuitives giving me messages from my mom, or giving me readings, or sending me the perfect book at the perfect time, or spirit so showed up. And so really what I like to say is, my family and I'm very blessed to be supported by my family in this, we chose to, instead of mourn the body of that caterpillar, we turned our focus on the miracle of the butterfly. And we turned our focus on the fact that when the sun sets, even though it's below the horizon, it still leaves this beautiful glow. And this glow still reaches the earth, and it's still so present. And so I knew, okay, I'm just going to be present, and I could feel my mom's love. I can feel her in every moment. And I would ask her for things, and I would say, hey, Mom, I want to go to Hawaii, or hey, Mom, I want to see Eckhart Tolle, or hey, Mom, I want to do these things. And like wildfire, they would happen in these incredible ways, with these incredible synchronicities, that would just flow through. And so I know she's alive in every moment, and I know so this is really what my book is about, and I'm calling it Afterglow because of the glow that these souls, because again, yes, my connection with my mom is special, but I'm not special in a way where I'm unique in the fact that nobody else can experience this. I really truly feel like this is sort of the regular, if you want to embrace that perspective. So now I just live my life in touch with her every morning. I'll invite her in and I'll feel her, and friends of mine do the same, and my boyfriend Levi does the same, and my dad does the same. And I feel a big part of it is when two or more are gathered, or two or more are believing in something, it just keeps happening and happening and happening. And I found myself connected with people who have similar relationships to their passed away, transitioned loved ones. And so I think it's like about what I was saying, this whole new earth that we're creating, where yeah, I'm in Ontario and you're in California, but we can connect, and then we can connect in person and have this great relationship, and then we can blah blah blah, we can build and blah blah blah. Well, we're breaking down these paradigms of what relationships can be and what connection can be. And just because she's not in that form anymore, I'm still so connected with her. And really, it's in an even better way because we're connected in every minute. We're connected in every moment. When I go away for months at a time, she's with me. Whereas I know if she was here in her human body, I wouldn't be able, I mean, I could, but it would be hard to leave for 3 or 4 months at a time, which I tend to do. But she's with me and she's there. And so that's why I say it's a blessing, because I really feel, someone once explained it to me as, she's like a quarterback in heaven sending me touchdowns, and I just catch them, and I just score those touchdowns, and I just feel so incredibly blessed to have the awareness, or to have the belief. And I think it very much comes down to the trust. But because I've been on this journey now for nearly 4 years of trusting it and seeing it come through, I can't deny it. I like to say it's like Wi-Fi. You can't see it, but you can connect to it, and it's real because you're connected and you're using it, and there's no denying. So yeah, so that's my confession is that death is not the end. It is the beginning of an amazing adventure. And yeah, there's grief, and there's tears, and there's pain, and there's human moments where you just want to touch the human body, and you just want to hug them, and you just want to feel them. But then there's also very, not, maybe, I guess you could say spiritual moments, but just new paradigm human moments where you're like, yeah, I'm in this human body, but this is not the end all be all. There is so much, again, like that iceberg, there's so much going on below the surface. And I feel like that's where I want to dwell, and that's where I dwell. And it's kind of wonky, and it doesn't make a lot of logical sense, but I wouldn't want it any other way.
Shannon, that was such a beautiful story. I'm so glad you shared that. I mean, I only knew some of that story, but to actually hear you say that really puts things in such perspective, because we are in different states or countries even, and how is heaven different that space. It's all about this connection. So beautifully said. So what final message do you have for our viewers today, Shannon?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for watching and listening and hearing me and seeing me. And I see you and I cheer you on. And thank you for being here on this earth at this time, because again, we are changing the planet just through having these conversations and being present and loving ourselves, or all that goodness.
I love it. So thank you so much for joining me tonight, Shannon. It was such a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much, Jenny. You are such a beautiful goddess and you're glowing.
Aw, you're so sweet. So if you want to check this sweetheart out, you can find her at shannonhugman.com and a plethora of other sites that I'm going to post as links all down in the video below so you can find her really easily. Check her out. She's smart and just such a light. So check her out. I'm Jennifer Watson. If you want to get coaching or readings from me, you can find me at www.jennifer-watson.me or at www.stopthepityparty.com. So I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. Join me next week as I interview Corinne Winter, who is the founder and CEO of Mission B, an organization that promotes mindful education in children, something that's much needed in this world. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Namaste and embrace your power.